Now here's the question, my brother Sanchez. I don't think you know what we are arguing, Sanchez. See, that's why this is very important. Don't you know that if we do the debate, Dame Calloway is going to have to prove that we don't have no African blood in us? That's his whole argument. That's our argument. His argument is that we are not from Africa and we don't have no African blood. Do y'all know that? It's very important that y'all understand what we're arguing, because a lot of people tend to don't really listen to what he's saying. You know?
The judge, fuck a jury, fuck a jail, fuck a charge. So fresh and so clean in my red, black and green. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, bitch, I'm Martin Luther King. It ain't nothing to redeem. Everybody hate niggas, even your own kind too. Everybody ain't with us, so we gotta vet the room. Point out all the coons, deal with the cracker first. Then it's time coming soon. Vote for who? Vote for what? Say the fuck up out my face, but vote for any damn body. Bitches, Grandmaster J, get your paper, arm yourself for this country.
What you said a little bit more for clarity, because he's going to try to manipulate what you said and say, yeah, they were Native Americans that came here and then married into the few Africans that were here. That is not what we are saying. That is not what the sources prove. That's not what any of the evidence should give you a firm argument for. That's not what happened. Is Africans came here. I believe that there were some Africans that came here prior to enslavement, prior to Columbus. There are some scholars that have made some pretty good arguments about that. Let's be clear that they were still Africans, just Africans who made early voyages. No one argues that those were large numbers of people. But then in addition to that, we have to understand that most of us came here during the transatlantic slave trade. And some of us intermarried with native people. Some of us. That number is actually very small. Often when we actually see people who have certain features, like folks in your family, I'm sure that almost every black family has this folklore that, we came from Native Americans. Take a look at this picture of your great grandmother. She has long hair and a long nose. Usually when we do DNA evidence, DNA analysis, we find that lineage comes from other places. It is usually European lineage. And this is a painful story. It is because the European enslaver had access to our women, and they need to pay for that. But it is not because most of us have Native American lineage. Do some proof. Even Dame Calloway hasn't even shown us his lineage. Anyway, let's continue, because I want to show you some more of what happened in this particular argument.
Go ahead.
This particular source. So, take a look. So, he got this section from an article on thought.co by Dina Gilo Whitaker, and it's called The Untold History of American Indian Slavery, right? In addition to that, you should see that the next paragraph, between 1617 and 1717, far more Indians were exported than Africans were imported. By the way, that's very interesting that he makes that case, because he almost believes that Africans were not imported. That's what he kind of says. So why would he make that case in this article? Why? Because he didn't root it out of the source that he plagiarized it from. In southern coastal regions, entire tribes were exterminated through slavery compared to disease or war. In a law passed in 1704, Indian slaves were conscripted to fight in wars for the colony long before the American Revolution. That paragraph comes directly from another source. It's from indigenous.americans.com. Native American slavery in the 13 colonies. It is verbatim from that source. So now I've shown you that in one article that he actually says, my article that I wrote went viral. Everybody was quoting it. It's not your article, Dane. You clipped it from other people's sources, and those sources do not agree with your argument. That's what you did. I'm not done yet. Underneath this picture, there's another section of his article that says, Brief Indian Slavery Complexity. And it starts, the Indians found themselves caught between colonial strategies for power and economic control. That once again comes from the thought.co source, the article, The Untold History of American Indian Slavery. So he went back to that source to pull a large segment of that article. Do you see how much he pulled? It's not finished yet. Notice that he changed slightly the title. But from here, you're seeing verbatim that he pulls it from this source. The rest of it also comes from that source. Look at this, the extent of the Indian slave trade. He puts this picture of this woman. By the way, just because this woman has braids on the side of her head, what makes her a native? He's trying to actually mislead you with some of his pictures. Ask him even where the picture is from. And so look at the rest of where that article comes from. Once again, from the thought.co, the Untold History of American Indian Slavery source. Verbatim. The Indian slave trade occurred. The Indian slave trade covered an area from as far west and south as New Mexico, then Spanish territory, northward to the Great Lakes. Historians believe that all tribes in this vast swath of land were caught up in the slave trade in one way or another, either as captives or as traders. This comes directly from this source. He took it from someone else's article.
Are you telling me, Jabari, he's not citing where he got it from? Or because that's what he said in the video. He said, you know, I always cite my sources, so he ain't citing it?
So listen, if you were going to cite this, first of all, this is a really large section to cite. You take in almost the entire article. You can't cite an entire article. But if you actually are citing it, it would be in quotes. You would see where it's from. He doesn't do any of that. He takes the work as his own. And then what he does is he manipulates occasionally a word or two so it sounds like what he's writing fits his article. It does not. It does not. These sources that you stole this work from, Calloway, do not agree with you. You are manipulating our people. You are manipulating our people. I'm sure that if we reached out to the author of this article, she would take action against you. Because unlike the Professor Avis J. Smith, this person is not a person of African descent, as far as I know. They don't have no love for you, Dane Calloway. Avis J. Smith is not taking action against you because he said you're a black man. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here.
You want to play that again, Jabari? That
maybe we should. Not quite yet. But
yes,
maybe we should. So let's continue, right? Because I want you to see the rest of where the rest of the article comes from. And then once again from the same source, after as early as 1636, after the Pequot War, in which 300 Pequot were massacred. Those who remained were sold into slavery and sent to Bermuda. Major slaving ports included Boston, Salem. Folks, this comes directly from this. Directly. He is stealing. He is stealing. How can you continue to allow him? You're seeing it on the screen. How can you continue to allow him to do this? How can you? The reality is that most of the folks in the Aboriginal community have either no sources or poorly utilized sources. So Dane Calloway actually steals from sources, manipulates them to fit his argument, which they do not agree with, and then he tries to pretend that he has research. Where is this from? It's not finished yet. The rest of it also comes from this article. Take a look at this. After a few pictures, he actually makes it seem like this is clearly describing people who are of African descent. He throws in a few pictures, right? But then you see he has a title, Obscured Identities of Native Indians. Well, the article says slavery's legacy of obscured identities. Keep looking and you will see that the rest of it comes from this source. Family, if you don't believe me, go to the page as soon as I'm done, because you'd better guarantee that Dane Calloway is going to be changing it. He's going to tell you that he got permission. He's going to tell you that he cited it. You can't cite an entire article and say that it's yours. That's what he's doing. How are you still rocking with him? I don't get it. So look at this. At the last piece of this says, 5 civilized tribes documented on the Dawes Rolls cards by the United States Dawes Roll Administration. That he put in himself. So there are a few lines that he actually wrote himself, or at least I can't find their source, because there are a few other pieces here that don't sound like his writing, that actually, family, clearly come from someplace else. I just haven't found them yet. What you should all be doing is finding where these sources come from. Because if this brother, and I'm using that word loosely, continues to misrepresent you, you should take issue with it. You should take issue with it. If he's misleading our people, showing incorrect information, plagiarizing his sources, how can you continue to rock with that? So first of all, let me just show you the section that was clearly plagiarized, okay? I'm going to show you where it came from, so you get an understanding of what Dane Calloway is doing that is so dangerous. So let me go ahead and share my screen. By the way, you should know this is really the reason why he had this video taken down originally. I guarantee you this is the reason why he did. Because it is so damning that, I mean, it's a challenge. It by itself shows you how dastardly this brother is. So take a look, and hopefully you'll be able to hear very clearly as well. Here we go. Oh, wait 1 second. There we go.
The term African American to refer to all Black people was endorsed only since 19.
Can you hear?
I hear it, but it's low. But go ahead, just try to turn your thing up.
I'm gonna try to turn it up a little bit.
There you go. There you go. Go ahead. Start it from the TOP.
People was endorsed only since 1989, but was against the desires of the majority of Black people. In fact,
here we go. This is from the beginning.
The term African American to refer to all Black people was endorsed only since 1988.
The term African American to refer to all Black people was endorsed only since 1989,
but was against the desires of the majority of Black people. In fact, the term was endorsed by only 5 people,
but was against the desires of the majority of Black people. In fact, the term was endorsed by only 5 people,
including Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin, leading the charge as a result of a gathering called the African American Summit,
including Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona Edlin leading the charge, as a result of a gathering called the African American Summit,
without the input of the majority of Black people. Author Avis J. Smith went to the district court in Washington, D.C. to stand against this term,
without the input of the majority of Black people. Author Avis J. Smith went to the district court in Washington, D.C. to stand against this term,
as well as against the notion that a small group of powerful individuals should be able to compel the masses into adopting it,
as well as against the notion that a small group of powerful individuals should be able to compel the masses into adopting it.
So let's be really clear, family. This brother, and I use that word lightly again, actually has done many things that are damaging. And for those of you who hadn't seen the rest of this presentation, you should also understand that Avis J. Smith does not agree with him. So he stole his information. By the way, you'll notice that he steals his information, and later Dane Calloway, I'm going to play part of it for you, says that what he's actually doing is they asked him to do it. The author and the publisher asked him to do it. By the way, it's published by Zilbris. You should know that Zilbris is a self-publishing site. So what are you actually saying? What are you saying? But if you look at a quote from Avis J. Smith's book, even in the introduction, it's even in the Roman numerals. Can you see where it comes from? Family, when I give you information, I show you the source. He says, a study into the history of names, which has been used to refer to Black people, indicates that many words have been used to describe or identify the former slaves. It is necessary to distinguish those Black people from the ancestry of slavery in America from those of the Caribbean, African, and other areas, because many of them do not want to be associated with Black people from the ancestry of American slavery. This is their right, because their experiences are not exactly the same, although they too were slaves taken from Africa. Did you hear what I just said? Clearly, you can see now that he does not agree with him. So he stole his information, and the author does not agree. That is what we are seeing.
But Jabari, Dame said he got permission to use that.
Yes.
So do you got proof that he didn't?
Yes, I do. And in fact, what I'm going to do before I even show you that, Sonetta, let me see if I can actually play the clip where he says that he got permission. Because you need to actually be clear that Dane Calloway is continuing to mislead our people. You have to be clear. This is not a situation where I'm misinterpreting what happened. When he gets caught, he lies about it. He lies about it. That's what he does. That's how he actually feels about you, family. That's how he feels about you. So let me see if I can get this playing for you in a moment as well. Here we go. 1 second. Okay.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, I'm going to try to actually move it to an area where you can see it. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay. So I want you to listen to this conversation so you can really understand how much he's lying and how much people are willing to accept his lies. Take a listen.
Getting our own platform, we got our own shit. We don't want to be a part of y'all shit, man. Just leave us alone, man. We got our own shit. You know what I'm saying? Stop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God! Wait a minute. I know what this is.
Damn.
No. Look, I'm about to shut this down right now. What they showing you is the video of these people. Actually, is Avis J. Smith. He's an author, and he and his people came to me. This was last year. They came to me twice. I actually did this twice for them. The second time is still up. The first one was taken down by YouTube because something in that video they didn't like. This is Avis J. Smith's promoting his. It was like a little small commercial promoting his book. His people came to me and asked me, please, can you use this information here to promote my book or to promote me in any way, like if it's going to fit your format and all of that, right? Okay, I listened to it. They gave me a little thing they wanted me to say, and they if you could please restate it verbatim, and it would still be promoting Avis J. Smith. Yeah, I mean or Avis B. Smith, something like that. That's an author though. And it was referring to that particular topic of that. That was 2000. I can pull that up right now. That was too long ago. And they can contact him. Contact him. Right. Yeah, they paid me for that. That was something I done for them. That was a favor. They paid me for that.
So you just smashed that in crushed.
I was so but see, listen. On all of my videos, it tells you a content warning. The content warning definitely tells you. Matter of fact, let me pull this up. It says, Content warning. All content on this channel is produced, written, edited, and narrated by Dane Calloway, except where noted. All content on this channel is copyrighted, protected, and or licensed to be used under permitted grounds and or fair use.
So, family, I hope you see that Dane Calloway himself is the one that asked us to reach out to the author. He did that, family. And so you should know that if someone says that to Jabari, Jabari is going to call his bluff. That's what I do. Because I knew that that could not possibly be true. It didn't even sound right. And you should recognize that it didn't sound right. Right off the bat. Why should you know it didn't sound right? Because first of all, if it was promoting a book, then why didn't he even mention the damn book?
Good point.
Why didn't he mention it? And he says that he got paid for it. Why didn't he tell you that he got paid for it? He says that all of the things that he uses actually are written by him or they're noted. He didn't note on there where he got that from. Do you know how long it took to find that? When you listen to someone speak long enough, you begin to recognize the words they use, the way they construct sentences, where they pause, where they continue. And when I heard him actually saying that, I said, this doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like him. That's when I actually looked for Avis J. Smith's work. And so this is what Avis J. Smith has to say about this ridiculous claim. Ridiculous claim. Take a listen.
For Professor Avis Smith, is Pierre speaking. How are you? Fine. How are you doing? Good. I'm fine. My name is Jabari Osaze. I'm actually a scholar and a lecturer who's written a book. And I actually wanted to ask you a question or two about your book, African American. Yes. Particularly because I should say I became aware of it because a YouTuber has actually taken part of your YouTube video and put it in his video. And then what he does is he speaks the words that are in the video directly. Yes. Are you familiar with it? I saw that. I was surprised to see that. I didn't know, I don't know if no one gave him permission to do it. Right. He did that, Right. Yeah. He claims that you or your publishing company actually asked him to speak those words because they liked the work he was doing. No. That is not true. Not true. Okay. The other reason why I'm reluctant to take any action is specifically because he's black. Right. Right. That's the only thing that's saving him right now. Right. Right. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. And I don't know. And I don't even know if it's worth the action. But the very fact that he is saying things that you did not say, by the way, like for example, his major argument is that people who are black never came from Africa, that we are in fact Native Americans. That's his major argument. Which seems in contradiction to your argument as well. It's my argument is simply the fact that, my orientation, I was one of the assistant secretaries in the original Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I've seen Malcolm speak when he was living, I knew people that traveled with Malcolm. The thing that I did not like was the fact in 1989, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Ramona H. Edlin had a meeting in New Orleans. The African American Summit is what they called it. Yeah. They determined that African American is what we should all be called because it gives us a better sense of our history. They had black historians before these people were born. and I believe it's disrespectful to the
Masters of black people
previous
to do
black
that.
historians.
Right.
It's now they knew at the time that greater than 75% of blacks preferred black as opposed to African Americans.
How do you feel about our connections with Africa? I mean, do you think that there's that was something we need to continue to do? We need to be able to build a base there.
We need that connection with Africa. We need that connection with Africa. We need that connection with Africa.
We been fed up and the rage is getting higher. We fucked around and found out the devil afraid of fire. So now when we get turned up, shit get burned up. I see a lot of souls turn up and that turn us. And we came to take the statues down and take the crown. I seen it on the news, a crowd of pigs powering down. We did all of that without no marching or no vote. We was running through them precincts, leaving shit smoking like fuck 12. We bout to do this shit for y'all.